Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, fabulites. What opens with Nova wanting to know what her daddy thought, and what closes with Charlie saying she don't know what her father was thinking or what her father would think. If you guessed Queen Sugar last night's episode, I put the title and all of that in the title. You saw that. Then you're correct. And if you would like to stick around for seeing how I got from opening to closing, please do. Thank you for clicking. I'm Angela. The channel is Be Fabulous You. Let's go. Okay. I might have missed the first couple minutes where they playing cards, go fish on the front porch. The children and the outsiders. Wood, Darla, Micah, and baby boy Blue. Okay, so anyway, Nova is like, I need to see this wheel now. Where the wheel at? I need to see it. Okay, so then Ralph Angel is walking past Darla, Wood, Blue, and Micah on the steps. He going to get the copy of the wheel. We see Nova talking for a quick minute to her ATL boo thing, the doctor. What's his name? The doc. And while she's waiting for Ralph Angel to get the wheel. And Vi is like, well, how do you feel about this? It can't just, what's going on can't just be about the farm. And Nova is like, he always used to ask me when I was going to settle down. Where are my grandbabies? And he never could seem to just let me be. Like, let me just be me. We always ended up in the same place. And Vi is like, well, that's just daddy doing daddy stuff. That's what daddies do. And Nova is like, well, when, Charlie had a baby, then Ralph Angel had a baby, he stopped asking me. And I thought that meant that he accepted me. But him cutting me out like this, out of the wheel, is like him judging me and like him punishing me for not being, who he felt I should be. And then we see Charlie. She's on the phone with the reporter, and the reporter is like the one who was doing the story on the last episode. He's like, okay, I'm back in town, or the photographer is in town, or whatever. Let's finish up the story. I think it would be good for us to get some pictures on the family farm. And Charlie is like, family farm? Let's finish at the mill. I think that the aesthetic is better, or whatever she says. Okay. So then we see Aunt Vi reading the revised will, and he, some of the stuff, this land of my mother and her father before her and his father before him. I am leaving this land to the child who needs it and loves it the most. Never forget you are better, stronger, and smarter than you think, Ralph Angel. Build a home for you and Blue. And fuck them hoes. I'm just joking. He ain't say that. But that's how it would. Yeah. That's how it would feel to me. I'm thinking, because that's kind of how it felt to me watching. And it's not even my father. But even when I saw that he only had Blue's picture in his locker, it's kind of like, dang. I mean, I guess that's the son of his son is like, that's his legacy as far as he's concerned. And maybe the rest of these people don't count, or I don't know. But it did make me feel a way. But, I have mentioned that I have some particular, challenges with my relationship with my father. So, Char is like, he never took this to a lawyer. And Nova is like, clearly he was in a state. And Ralph Angel is like, just because you two only see my mistakes, it don't mean that Pops felt the same way, Okay, so then we see Remy. He's calling Charlie, and he's like, there's a farmer here with his sugar cane. We can accommodate him, blah, 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 blah. And Charlie is like, okay, we just need the contract and the deposit. And Remy is like, I am vouching for this man. And Charlie is like, I know you can appreciate that I want to do my business with the I's dotted and the T's crossed. So your vouchation means I'm going to send somebody over there to get that paperwork signed. Like, she does business a totally different way from the way that Remy, I think, would do business. And it's sort of difficult to, like, I can kind of understand because she doesn't have relationships with these people. Remy might have relationships with these people, and she does have some sort of relationship with Remy, but her relationship with Remy is still brand new. So I can kind of understand where she's coming from, and I can also understand why I would be kind of offended if I was Remy in that situation and I have relationships with people and they're coming to me based on the strength of our relationships, and then I'm trying to use the strength of my relationship with this woman, Charlie, to, get stuff done. But anyway, Char goes to Darla. Char goes to Dar and is like, I need you to go to the mill to get the paperwork for Mr. Duval. Meanwhile, Darla is sitting next to Ralph Angel. Ralph Angel is like, no, Darla, you stay. This ain't an emergency. They trying to get me alone and I need your support. And Darla, has by this time gotten up and she's gone outside, and, Ralph Angel has followed her and they continue to talk. And, he's like, she's like, this is my job. You see it as betrayal and I see it as love. It's loving for me to get and maintain a job, because me keeping and maintaining a job means that I can try to keep and maintain my sobriety. It means that I can keep and maintain a relationship with my son. So that's love. And, like, she ain't saying all of this, but I'm watching. I'm like, the child just got fired from a job fooling with you. It's that Ralph Angel, I feel like his maturity level is, he's very immature. He is very immature and he's very needy. I don't hate him or anything because he just is where he is, but he is very immature and he's very demanding, and he's kind of sort of in a way spoiled. You know what I mean? Okay, so this is my job. You see it as betrayal. I see it as love. I would never, Darla says to Ralph Angel, do you like you're doing me. Okay, so then we see Nova, and she's going through the box. I don't know if this is like the father's, memory box or where he kept important documents, but there's a letter, there's a bracelet, there's a picture, there's like a greeting card type thing. There's another picture, and this other picture, I was like, is that Nova and her mom when Nova was younger? Then there's a box, like a jewelry box, like a ring box, and it's got a wedding band inside, and Nova puts that on her hand and she's crying. Then Wood comes into the house. He's holding Blue, and Blue is like, and Wood is like, Vi, I'm gonna put him down in our room, and Vi is like, is he okay to see, and Wood is like, well, he knows, something is going on. He knows something is wrong. And then Micah comes in and he hugs his mom and he's like, I'm going to Dad's if that's okay. She like, yeah. Okay, so then Charlie is like, you knew, she's talking out by, you knew and you didn't tell me. When I come here for summers, I didn't even have a room at Daddy's, but you kept a room for me here. This is my first home. You always made me feel welcome. Not like I was just Daddy's other daughter. Ralph Angel did something to go to jail. What did I do to make this happen? I want someone to fight for me. That's what Charlie is saying to Vi. And then Vi is like, I'm sorry, because, his daddy, Ralph Angel's daddy, is fighting for him, or, has continued to try to fight for him and help him. And, it's in a way, it's normal for a parent to try to help the child that needs the most help. I think I can understand that in a way. And Ralph Angel definitely seems to need the most help in a way. I guess in the material world, but like in the spiritual world, I feel like as a father with daughters, and I can understand also in the spiritual world, a father with sons, but it's kind of like I think it's a very hurtful situation, because even though I may not be the neediest child or the one that's always causing trouble, I still need love. I still need, she still need love, and to feel that she's loved and valued. Then we see Ralph Angel sitting on the porch, and he's kind of looking out over the land. It was a beautiful shot. Char comes out, and Ralph Angel is like, come on. And they get up and they start working. And Char is like, no disrespect, but how will you run the farm if I don't fund it? And Ralph Angel is like Dad, I have been in the real world, and I'm going to do what I got to do. I won't be asking you for nothing. I'm taking classes. I'm getting my stuff together. And then we see Remy and the farmer at the sugar mill, and Darla approaches, and she's crying, but she's like doing her job. She's like, oh, I'm sorry it took so long, but here's the paperwork. And she not really like pausing to cry. She just crying, and she like, I'm sorry it took so long. Thank you for your patience. Here's the paperwork. If you could just sign right here. But it's weird because she crying, and we can see that she crying, and it's kind of like, and Remy is like, are you okay? And she's like, oh yeah, it's just been a rough day. So we can see that, even though Darla did what she felt that she had to do, that it was not a decision that was easy for her, and that, she's feeling a way about it. Okay, so Nova is talking, I think she's talking to her brother and her sister, and she's like, child who needs and loves it the most. You need it. He needs it because he messed up the most. It was always about you. Daddy didn't even commit to mom until you came along. So, again, I kind of feel like as a girl child, that difference that men make sometimes, some men make with their boy children versus their girl children. I guess he didn't feel, I don't know, but I could see how she would interpret it as, when Mama had me, you didn't feel that you had a legacy or anything of value or anything worth locking down. But when Mama had Ralph Angel, then you felt like you had something of value and you had a legacy and something worth locking down. And so then you married Mom. I could see that. And then Ralph Angel, I was 10 when Mom died, I think he said. And Dad said, not to worry. I had the next best thing, a big sister. And then you left as soon as possible. But she's his sister, not his mother. So I'm not sure if it was her responsibility to stay and to take care of him. And it seems like she has cared for him and been they have had a relationship. But anyway, I'm definitely sure that it's that your brother is different from your child. So okay, so then Charlie is like, do you honestly think that you can run the farm and not lose it by season's end? Daddy was waiting for you to grow up and show up. That's why he never filed the paperwork. And then Vi is like, I think she's right. You need your sisters. Ernest didn't mean to, but he put too much on you right now. And then Ralph Angel is like, I'm not just a dumb convict. You don't get to tell me how to feel or what to do. Not anymore. Okay, so I don't know. And I guess that's a sensitive subject for him. I don't know if they said directly or indirectly that he was just a dumb convict, but I think that he is a youngish, immature, hot-headed man. And, we all have to find our way in the world, and he has to find his way in the world, and he's finding his way in the world. Yeah. Okay. So then we see Charlie at her place, and Davis and Micah come in, and Micah comes bearing the gift of a cup of coffee, like, I thought you could use this or whatever. And then Davis has a box, and it's a housewarming gift. And Micah is like, I'm going to go check on Kiki, like he leaving. I was wondering what happened with Kiki, because they was kicking it for a minute, and then we ain't seen her. And then Davis is like, wow, you got it looking pretty nice in here, and he said, I know this gift isn't necessary, but, go ahead and open it anyway. And she opens it, and it's an ice cream maker. And I think that he said that he always felt bad for taking the ice cream maker off the wedding registry. And, he says, happy new beginnings. And she's like, okay, yeah, well, speaking of new beginnings, I'm doing a piece with Gallant. And he's like, that's great. That's huge. And she's like, yeah, I told him about the divorce. And he like, well, Dag, why do you get to flip the script? I thought, we weren't announced, we had all these rules about it. And now you get to decide when to break the rules. And she's like, it won't be one-sided. You'll get fair coverage. So she done kind of done a Charlie on him. She just used her discretion to make the decision that was best for everybody. Nova is at work and she's looking at something on the computer. But we find out immediately. Nova comes back and she's talking to Aunt Vi. And she's like, you never said anything to me about the fact that you used to own this land or part of this land. And then Aunt Vi tells a story of her being 17 years old and she got with Jimmy Pale or whatever, Jimmy Pooh. And it was about drinking, and he was drinking and drugging, and he was a disappointment. And she married the guy, and her brother did not like him. Ernest didn't like him. It was a source of stress and tension for them. And that she and Ernest stopped speaking, and that at their mom's funeral, that they didn't exchange any words. Her and Ernest didn't even speak to each other, and that she was so heartbroken. She didn't know if she was heartbroken over the loss of her relationship with her brother, or if she was more heartbroken over her mother's transition. And that her father found out, not her father, but her brother found out that the man, her husband, was putting hands on her, was getting a little rough with her, and that her husband, not her husband, her brother Ernest took her husband fishing. He said when the husband came back from the fishing trip, he left. So, her brother took care of her. And she said, he was right and I was wrong. But when it counted, he was there. Vi is speaking about her brother Ernest. I lost the land, but I did get my independence and I got my brother back. And love comes first, always. Choosing the only thing that matters is what matters. So even though she lost the land, she owns her house, and she doesn't feel that that's more important than her relationship with her family. We see Charlie staring into space, and then Remy comes in and he's like, the reporter is sniffing around about your divorce. And Charlie is like, well, I made a strategic move and I had to tell him about the divorce. And Remy is kind of like, okay, it's funny because I had heard so much about you before I met you from your father. Your father was always bragging and telling stories about one success after another success, or one achievement after another achievement. And people would be like, well, that's because she's so smart. And your daddy would say that you were not necessarily smart, but he called you thoughtful. He said not just smart, but thoughtful, or something. He used the term thoughtful. And that's what I always thought, that you were thoughtful. But now that I've started to get to know you, this is Remy talking to Char. He's like, maybe what I interpreted that he meant by thoughtful is something different from what you are. Maybe you're calculating. And that's kind of like, it's kind of like a weird situation. Everybody's doing the best they can. Charlie's doing the best that she can. Yeah. She might be calculating, but she's not evil. I don't know. And then he's like, well, what else are you being thoughtful about or calculating about? About the meal. I thought you were here, to do this work because you cared about us, or because you cared about this, about the farmers. I thought you cared about the farmers, about me. Do you care about me, or is this just a calculation to get what you want out of the situation? And, Char's feelings are hurt, and she's like, you need to walk out. Please go. So, he done hurt her feelings, and it's kind of a lot of different dynamics going on. It's difficult to really ascertain who's right and who's wrong, because we're getting some information, but we don't have all the information. And even when you have all the information, you only have all the information from the outside. And when you have all the information from the inside, you're skewed from the inside. So I don't know. And a lot of times in life, there is no right or wrong. We just do the best that we can. Okay. So then we see Darla. She's knocking at the door. Ralph Angel opens it. He has a hard ass face. And he's like, you know, she's like, if you're mad at me, I can deal with it. And he like, then why are you here? And she's like, I'm not going to let you get in the way of me and Blue. And I'll take him swimming or something. And then Ralph Angel was like, oh, this is how it is now? You know, never mind my feelings. And then he calls Blue, Blue, get your swim trunks on. And then we see Nova packing, and she's calling, you know, to the doc. And she's like, you know, he like, you know, well, what's up? And she's like, I'm choosing to take you up on your offer. I'll see you soon. So, you know, she's heading out. So this situation is not being resolved. It's kind of like just out here floating. What's going to happen to the family? And then we see Ralph Angel, and he's maybe like in the garage or something like that. And Wood comes out with beers, and Ralph Angel is like, oh, Vi sent you? And Wood is like, don't nobody have to tell me to come see my partner. And Ralph Angel is like, all Daddy wanted was to see me raise a family on the land. And everybody is against me, even Darla. And everything is falling apart. And Wood is like, you know what you got to do? You got to work every day. You got to be a father to your son. And this too shall pass. And I really like that dynamic between Wood and Ralph Angel, because I feel like, you know, Wood is a person and he has his opinion. He has a relationship with Ralph Angel. He has a relationship with Vi. He's not a puppet. He's just saying what he thinks. And I like to see that man-to-man dynamic, that supportive dynamic. I felt like it was a very loving, and, you know, I like to see it. And I feel like, you know, Ralph Angel, you know, needs love and support. Even though he get on my nerves, I like to see that he ain't just out here by himself, and that, you know, it's not a hate type situation. And then we see Charge, you know, she's being made up. A makeup artist is, you know, working with her and everything. And then a reporter comes in. He's like, you know, okay, so we're going to finish up the interview. So, you know, how do you think that your father would feel about you reinventing yourself? And Charlie is like, well, it's not so much, you know, she goes into her Charlie routine of spinning and, you know, saying, she's like, you know, it's not so much reinventing myself as... And she's just like, she doesn't say anything. She doesn't say anything. She's like, it's not so much as reinventing myself as, and then the camera gets her from this angle, gets her from this angle, gets her from this angle. And then we see the reporter, and the reporter is looking nervous because the reporter's already seen her flip out, and he knows she's fragile. And then she's like, Charlie is like, you know, you asked what my father would think. And she's like, I don't know. And that's the end of the episode. Thank you. Like, thumbs up, comment, subscribe, share. We're working on 150 subscribers. So if you are a subscriber, thank you, thank you, thank you. If you aren't a subscriber, please go ahead and subscribe. And today is the best day ever. Be you. Be fabulous. Be fabulous, you. Peace.